My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. I want to show, this is the Ontario Police. They are repeatedly stalking by repeatedly pacing around in circles. I'm trying to share the live. Hold on. Here we go. All right, I am at the Ontario Town Square, just like you can see on my X. On my X feed, I'm documenting the images. You saw in the images moments earlier, they were flying in this direction. They fly back in this direction. They fly back in this direction. And while I've been trying to configure Facebook Live, flying right over the top of my head. And I want to be clear, just like I stated in my my X feed that I just generated, and all of my platforms are going to be used to put this demon and the rest of them in federal prison. This is a psychopath. This is that mania, that maniac conduct. They are triggered by what they know I'm publishing on the internet. So this particular demon begins flying over and over and over me. And they're also cowards. The moment that I go live, the coward runs away. And this is speaking to, I want to be clear, this is not witchcraft. They were never magical. They are demon possessed. Their demon possession is the reason for their severe mental instability. Why they are triggered, so triggered that you're flying over the top of my head over here where I'm located at the square. You can see in my images while I'm standing over here, the helicopter's flying in this direction. And I'm capturing multiple images of it. You can see when I'm approaching at this venue, the demons of the Ontario Police follow me from D Street to what is right here at C Street as I walk north up Euclid Avenue, which is the population that's stalking me as well. The Ontario Police that are stalking in a helicopter are telling on the people of the state who are stalking as the community on the ground. The entities engage in that with the airport, which I've also shown. The entities engage in this at the Ontario Town Square, which is where the entity is stalking by helicopter, and have been doing so the entire time. The moment that I start recording right now, that's a coward. And this is speaking to what is published on X. This video is equally probative because you saw and you could hear the helicopter activity. This is relevant to what Mike LORENZ also anticipates and what he reasonably anticipates and what I will openly say in this Facebook Live. Mike LORENZ is not a chief of police. He is chief of vagina monitors, and that is not to be comical. That is not to make light of what is a psychopathic, violent sex offender. The mental illness shared by and exhibited by this demon, this stalker in a helicopter, is shared by Mike LORENZ. It is a pattern of conduct that Mike LORENZ is engaging in, and he is referred to as a terrorist leader. While this gang violence is underway by that department, he's a terrorist leader. And this is somebody that is engaging in what is monitoring my vagina, and the knowledge of that level of sexual violence and obsession and mental illness, because all of that is relevant to monitoring vagina, monitoring someone's genitalia, which is what the demons are doing. And they're demons who are violent sex offenders who are cowards. That's why that demon who is going to prison, they will be reporting who's operating the helicopters as I document. They will be admitting who is in an operation of the heliport. They will be reporting what it is that they're doing when they do it. And they are going to prison while they admit that information in what is the federal tribunal. The people of the state who I document gang stalking me, just like I did at Gloria's Cochinas, they're going to federal prison. I put their license plates on the social media platforms because they're terrorists who have no privacy. The government has no privacy while it's engaged in criminal activity. The government is incriminating the people of the state. The government is aiding in what is that civil prosecution of terrorists like commercial actors, such as Sarah's Regis Group, such as Gloria's Cochinas, such as the entity that is gang stalking me at everywhere that I'm going, including while commercial actors are sharing in that pattern of conduct. This is a coward that's not engaging in anything other than what is letting out their own violent tendencies with regard to being triggered because of knowledge of what it is that I'm expressing on my social media platform, by the way. And it's relevant to what is factual information. If you are actually anticipating not going to prison, if you are actually aware of the fact that, if you are not aware of the fact that I'm publishing information on my social media platform, this is relevant to the entity that is following me from place to place, which is literally the definition of stalking. And it's also within a well-documented pattern. There's no coincidences there. But the entity is not only following me as I go from place to place, flying over the top of my head and following me from place to place. And the moment that I start recording now, this is when the helicopter activity ceases. So that's what I want you to pay attention to. I want to see if this is still recording. It looks like it is still recording. Okay. This is the Facebook Live, and what you're looking at is the Ontario Town Square. This is a crime scene.
This is the venue of the City of Ontario. Paul Leon is being removed from office for the violence of the Ontario Police Department. Mike LORENZ is also, again, being removed from office. That's axiomatic. He's being federally prosecuted for the pattern of conduct. Now, the pattern of conduct that this coward is failing and escaping from, because you fly away while you're still stalking, by the way, but because you fly away like a coward, like a pansy, like someone that is engaging in surveillance and knows that they're being documented on my phone, like someone that knows very well that they're going to prison and would rather spend their last waking moment keeping my vagina under surveillance until the moment that they're raided. This is an entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct at the Ontario Town Square, which is associated with the City of Ontario. Mike LORENZ, I just want to be clear again, this is not a chief of police. He is the chief of vagina monitors. He is a sex offender. That's what he is. And that's why they're using things such as helicopters to engage in focusing on me where I'm at the Ontario Town Square based on frustration with what it is that I'm putting on my ex, where I'm engaging what is freedom of speech regarding criminal activity that the government is engaging in and has no legitimate interest in trying to proscribe that speech, especially where they don't even have authority based on its criminal conduct at the outset. This is unprecedented. And where that unlawful violation of freedom of speech would be a violent threat to the life of an American citizen. You have no right to infringe upon any speech in any manner. This is an entity that's doing so by stalking me by helicopter. I want to make sure that that's clear. Any coward that's running away from documentation is one that knows that they're going to prison, is one that is very fearful of that, and that is also one that belongs there where vagina monitors can be treated in the way that vagina monitors shall be treated in federal prison, where predators belong. That's the gang members of the Ontario Police. The silence that you hear now, the entity maintained ongoing helicopter activity while they thought that they were getting away with it. And the moment that I start this video is when a coward flies off. This is evidence as I maintain the documentation on my X feed that entire time. And as I started this Facebook Live, as I started this Facebook Live, you could see and hear the helicopter. That is the evidence speaking to exactly what it is that I'm describing. And the moment that I begin this recording, that is the entity that is also engaging in what is surveillance and flies away after flying in circles over and over and over again, exhibiting mental instability in doing so. The entities engaging in this, I want to be clear. The Ontario Police are no police. My evidence already establishes that. While they engage in maniacal conduct, while they are outraged with regard to how I describe them, while they are stalking me, this is an entity that's going to be subject to prolonged terms in federal prison and routine mental examinations. Mike LORENZ is going to be federally prosecuted for terrorism, in addition to every terrorist that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. It's not just the ones that are kidnapping, but their terrorist leader, the chief of vagina monitors himself, Mike LORENZ. He will be federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. The Ontario Police are gang stalking, pacing up north and south on Euclid Avenue. They are engaging in stalking on an ongoing basis. They're doing so with the Ontario International Airport, with the people of the state, with the City of Ontario. That is, again, with the blessing of Satan's servant himself, Paul Leon, who is also being publicly removed from office, literally by effect of the P.O.C. It is currently 12:02 a.m. This is the evidence. I want all of you to laugh at what is the chief of vagina monitor, Mike LORENZ. They are cowards. They are cowards that like to hover over me in the middle of the night and engage in kidnapping, which makes them feel strong and powerful. And they're cowards that run away when they know that you are going to witness their ongoing obsession with me. But you're already witnessing that. You're already aware. They are the ones who are mentally ill, and it will be addressed openly in a courtroom. They are right now in my courtroom, and they're running out of the doors of the courtroom. There will be no running out of the doors of the federal tribunal that will be within an actual courthouse. There will be no running away like the cowards are now. That is an ongoing admission of guilt. Consciousness regarding what it is that I'm doing on my device, that is already deduced, however, from the specific environment. That's what I'm telling you about the engineer light. That's what I've told you about the fake sun. This is what I've told you about the ongoing unprecedented pattern of being everywhere that I'm at when I am there with helicopters, just like I documented again tonight, from place to place. Everyone should be laughing, not because gang stalking is funny, but because the chief of vagina monitors is a coward. And he's scared of 5'4", 5'5". They commit murder. That's why Mike LORENZ is going to prison. They commit murder. They commit kidnappings. They try to engage in what are means of psychologically torturing you to cause you to appear as though you're mentally ill. That's why Mike LORENZ is going to federal prison. He's going to federal prison for every documented act of terrorism by that department. And he is sharing in that with that department and the people of the state. That's what that position as chief of police, which he is engaging in what is maliciously abusing in order to maintain surveillance of my vagina. That's what that position entails. And you're going to prison for being a terrorist leader. This is P.O.C. It is 12:05 a.m. Ontario Town Square, where the entity is maintaining this specific environment by stalking incessantly by helicopter. Let's be clear. The evidence is well beyond a reasonable doubt regarding the pre-established guilt of the Ontario Police Department. That is the U.S. government. That is the ongoing targeting by that department that has defamed my character, which they thought was going to preclude me from even being able to expose what this agency, what this state, what the sex offenders who are the people of the state have committed against me. And it is not, nor ever does it mean or result in defaming someone else, and that's supposed to override another's criminal activity. That is only reliant upon corruption. That doesn't even make any sense. That's absurd. One does not cancel out the other. One is not more probative than the other. One does not render the other imaginary. And the government is shown to be one that cannot be trusted. The Ontario Police are not a police department, and they're not engaging in what is law enforcement. They have no authority. They are going around in police vehicles and in helicopters and utilizing uniforms and badges and weapons and resources that they are not effectively in any sort of authorized position to maintain. And I'm going to prosecute them for that. Understand the authority that I have to do that under the law. They are engaging in criminal surveillance. That department is. They're not actually engaged in law enforcement. The purposes whereby they have established what it is that they are, but they're not actually that. And they are using the resources and receiving assistance and support and operating in an authorized position based on that malicious misrepresentation of fact. That's a threat to American citizens. They are not police officers. That is not a police department. They are stalkers, an enterprise of stalkers. They are paid stalkers. They're murderers. That's why that psychopath was engaged in flying over me for a prolonged period. And I've been capturing by the way, I've been capturing that sort of targeting, that sort of psychopathic unleashing of aggression toward me for years. That's somebody that wants to take my life. That's somebody that if they could, they would take a gun and they would blow my brains out. Because of that unlawful threat, that demon is going to prison and they will not remain a mystery. I want to make sure that that's clear. The entity is stalking, and they're all engaging in stalking with regard to what is under no circumstances any means of returning to sender. Demons that are subject to judgment, where you don't have any authority, you literally don't have authority under the law. You also certainly have no spiritual authority. You don't even have any authority because you are out of your minds. There is no such thing as returning what is the curse that you have summoned on yourself. Curses on your life, on those that you are representing, on all of those connected to you, on your household, on your well-being, on your physical vessel. Stalking me is not changing that, nor do you have authority to do so. You do not have any spiritual authority to rebut what has already been decreed. So this is a psychopath engaging in what is letting out and unleashing violence, for which they will be held accountable. This is why you document, because it's staying on the record and it's going to be revisited. And what you need to know, you who are viewing this, these are demons that have unleashed demonic spirits that are going to devour them and their households and everyone connected to them. And that is not me wishing evil on anyone. That is me letting you know what spiritual law is. It was a trap for them to pursue someone that they never have any spiritual authority whatsoever to even approach. And I am declaring that as a matter of justice on earth and in the spirit, that you experience all of the agony and judgment and harm that you preyed upon an innocent person. in the ways in which they have successfully taken the lives of other people. This is an entity that has petitioned